Good morning, everyone. The House Appropriations Subcommittee on School Aid and the Department of Education is called to order. Welcome, everyone, today. Exciting day. Excited to be reporting out our pre-K-12 budget as well as the Department of Education budget. So before we get into it, can the clerk please call attendance?
Representative Weiss.
Here.
Representative Morgan.
Here.
Representative Kolazar.
Here.
Representative Steckloff.
Here.
Representative Price.
Here.
Representative Skaggs.
Here.
Representative Wilson.
Here.
Representative DeBoer.
Here.
Representative Green.
Present.
Representative Mearman.
Here.
Representative Beeson.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Representative Wilson moves to approve the minutes for the subcommittee meeting on March 14th, 2024. Without seeing any objections, the minutes are approved. Next up, I'd like to call for a motion to adopt House Bill 5503, the H1 substitute. Vice Chair Morgan makes that motion. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to adopt the substitute, Representative Weiss.
Yes.
Representative Morgan.
Yes.
Representative Kolazar.
Yes.
Representative Steckloff.
Yes.
Representative Price.
Yes.
Representative Skaggs. Representative Wilson.
Yes.
Representative DeBoer.
Yes.
Representative Green.
Yes.
Representative Mearman.
Yes.
Representative Beeson.
Yes.
The substitute is adopted.
All right, thank you. And next up, we are going to have a presentation on the budget from our House Fiscal Analysts, Jacqueline Mullen and Noelle Benson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. Jacqueline Mullen, House Fiscal Agency. Also with me is Noelle Benson. Before you is the summary for the House Subcommittee Chair's recommendation for the FY 2024-2025 school aid budget. This recommends a gross appropriation of $20,528,399,600. That's a decrease of $931 million. That is due to a removal of one-time appropriations in the prior fiscal year. Looking at the top table, the breakout is a 3.9% increase in federal funding, 5.2% decrease in restricted funds. This is mostly school aid fund. Again, that's mostly the removal of one-time funding in the prior year, and a 19.3% decrease in general fund. The total decrease is 4.3%. The current budget, the breakout between one-time and ongoing in the House Chair Rec is $948.6 million one-time and $19.6 billion ongoing. We'll start to run through the sections at the beginning of the summary. This is major sections that we move toward the top before we then go into chronological order. So we'll start with the major budget changes at the top here. The first one is always the foundation allowance. This is the per pupil operations funding for districts. The executive recommended a 2.5% increase to the per pupil foundation allowance. The House recommends a 2.25% increase to the per pupil foundation, and that would cost $280 million. Moving on to item number 2, also a foundation item. The executive reduced cyber school foundations to 80% of the foundation allowance. The House maintains them at their current level of $9,150 per pupil. And then item number 3 is the cost adjustments, consensus cost estimates, estimated savings of $245.2 million. And that is due to pupil changes and taxable value. Moving on to page 2, this is entirely taken up by the Michigan Public School Employees Retirement System. I'll just highlight a couple of the changes here. The first bullet point under the House section concurs with executive to reduce the OPEB contributions for unfunded liability. That's estimated savings of $631.7 million school aid fund. Also concur with the executive to revise the one-time funding for ISD and district library cost offset, to revise that to be ongoing. It's 11.9 million. And then the executive provided funding to effectively lower the 20.96% contribution cap on unfunded liability to 20%, and the House concurs with that, but adds additional funding to further reduce that to 18%. And then also adds intent that the cap continue to be effectively lowered until it reaches 0. House also concurs with executive to reduce the payroll growth assumption. That will continue the annual reduction in the payroll growth assumption, and it would currently be reduced to 0.25%. And then the House provides 51.6 million school aid fund for districts to reimburse certain employees. These are employees that contribute 3% associated with the healthcare premium subsidy benefit. The funding here would reimburse them for a portion of that 3%. And then also provides intent that this appropriation would be increased also in future fiscal years until the 3% is effectively reduced to 0. Moving on to page 3, special education is item number 5 on the summary. I'll just speak to the change about 4 bullets down, which is the currently two formulas that provide funding to certain ISDs related to their special education millage. So currently there is about 40 million for a millage equalization program and about 34 million for a millage incentive program. The executive combined these two into a new formula that was based on unreimbursed costs and also increased the funding by 50 million total. The House maintains 74.2 million total, but does revise the first equalization to a formula that is based on 50% taxable value per special education head count, and then 50% per unreimbursed special education costs. And it maintains that 34.2 million for the millage incentive program. Item number 6 is a per pupil mental health grant. This section provided 310 million one-time school aid fund and 18 million one-time general fund in the prior year. The executive and the House both concur to continue 300 million school aid fund, and then the House also adds 13.3 million federal to this. Both the executive and the House provide 150 million of that as ongoing and 150 million as one time. And then the federal funding would also be one time. The House chair concurs with executive to strike non-public schools as eligible recipients. The House maintains a requirement that at least 50% of funds must be spent on mental health. And then the House also revised the allowable uses. Instead of saying any other mental health or school safety eligible use, it revises to require explicit written permission from the department for any use that is not listed in the bill. Turning to page 4, the school transportation fund, the House deposits 150 million school aid fund into the fund. Just to note, it does show zeros on the right there because the money is not appropriated. So once that money is appropriated, then we would show it on the right, but we did move it up into the line items just to highlight where that 150 million is being deposited. Item number 8 is enrollment stabilization. This is to offset a portion of the cost of declining enrollment for districts. The executive retains 71 million, and the House increases by 21.6, and this is intended to fully fund the formula so that districts are not prorated. And then the House also deposits 100 million school aid fund into the enrollment stabilization fund. Item number 9 is the Great Start Readiness Program. This is school readiness preschool for 4-year-old children. The executive increases by 106.2 million, and the House increases by 96.1 million. So the executive increased this item in line with the 2.5% foundation increase, plus an additional 5% on top of that. The House similarly increased in line with the 2.25% increase, plus a 5%. The executive provided funding to expand to an estimated 6,800 additional children, and the House expands to an estimated 5,500 additional children. And there is some additional major boilerplate changes that Noel will discuss when we get to the major boilerplate later on in the summary. Page 5 is starting with item number 10, at risk. This is school aid fund for instructional programs and direct non-instructional services for at-risk pupils. The executive increases in line with the proposed foundation increase, 2.5%, and the House increases the 2.25% with the foundation plus an additional 5% on top of that. The executive added a provision for certain districts. It would be Detroit Public Schools Community District and partnership districts, to be able to use at least to use up to 30% of funds for the retention and recruitment of instructional staff and staff providing services related to mental, emotional, or physical health. The House provision is for DPSCD only to use up to 40% of funds, and that can be used for salary and benefit increases for instructional staff or to hire additional instructional staff. And then finally, item number 11 is the School Meals Reserve Fund. This is to help cover the cost of student school meals. The House deposits 50 million school aid fund into the School Meals Reserve Fund. From here, we have the sections listed in chronological order. I will skip over these, but if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. I will skip to, I think I just want to mention on page 17, if you are curious about the removal of one-time appropriations, item number 92 on the summary lists all of the items that were funded as one-time in the FY 2023-24 budget, and that the executive and the House both concurred to remove for this budget. And that is a total of 1.1 billion. Turning to page 18, starting with about halfway down the page, the major boilerplate changes. I'll hand it over to Noel to talk about boilerplate and then to also discuss a few items that are in the supplemental.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, Madam Chair and subcommittee members. I'm Noelle Benson with House Fiscal Agency. If we can actually turn to the top of page 19, we have the Great Start Readiness Program boilerplate. The executive struck the household income eligibility thresholds, currently below 300% of the federal poverty guidelines, and then below 400% if slots are still open. The House proposal instead revises these thresholds to be 350% and 450%. The executive made several other boilerplate changes to go along with that change, and the House maintained current law on those. Looking a little bit further down, the House proposal does add reporting requirements for providers to describe all child care services provided that are not GSRP eligible and requires MyLeap to annually compile the results. The House budget strikes requirement that providers contract with community-based providers for at least 30% of their allocation, and they also strike the allowance for providers to utilize GSRP materials for other early care activities, although it does still allow them to use it for other early education activities. In section 163, the executive struck a penalty of 50% salary paid to an individual in violation of this section. There is a membership adjustment under section 15 based on the same employment. The House concurred with this change. In section 164H, the executive repealed the section which established a penalty in an amount equal to 5% of the total state aid if a district or ISD enters into a collective bargaining agreement that establishes racial or religious preferences or conflicts with any state or federal transparency laws. The House concurred with this deletion. And there is a new section 164J, which the House budget prohibits funds under this article from being used for any legal expense related to violations of Section 15 of the Public Employment Relations Act, which is collective bargaining requirements. Looking then at the supplemental, if we turn to page 20, there are multiple cost adjustments for the foundation allowance, promise zones, school meals, and special education. And there is also $2.5 million in one-time funding for different programs. We're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you both very much. Are there any questions this time? No? All right. Not seeing any questions. I know we do have amendments. I think that's the next step. So first up, do you have a list of amendments? Sorry. Thank you. First up, amendment number 1. Representative DeBoer, would you like to discuss your amendment?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I would wish to reverse the MIPSER's shift. This amendment is a fiscally responsible use of retirement dollars shifted away from OPEB. If we pay down that pension liability early, we'll free up billions of dollars to invest in our students. It was all set up to finish in 20 years or so. I move my amendment.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to approve amendment number 1, Representative Weiss.
No.
Representative Morgan. No. Representative Colazar. No. Representative Steckloff. No. Representative Price.
No.
Representative Skaggs.
No.
Representative Wilson.
No.
Representative DeBoer.
Yes.
Representative Green.
Yes.
Representative Meerman.
Yes.
Representative Beeson.
Yes.
The amendment is not adopted.
Thank you. For amendment, the second amendment, Representative Meerman, would you like to discuss your amendment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. A kid is a kid, and we should fund all of our students equally. This amendment ensures that even if students choose to learn at a different type of school, their school receives the full foundation allowance. Madam Chair, I move my amendment.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to approve amendment number 2, Representative Weiss.
No.
Representative Morgan. No. Representative Colazar.
No.
Representative Steckloff.
No.
Representative Price.
No.
Representative Skaggs.
No.
Representative Wilson.
No.
Representative DeBoer.
Yes.
Representative Green.
Yes.
Representative Meerman.
Yes.
Representative Beeson.
Yes.
The amendment is not adopted.
For the third amendment, Representative Meerman, would you like to discuss your amendment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My amendment would reserve 10% of the facility funds for charter schools and distribute them on a per-pupil basis. Madam Chair, I move my amendment.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to approve amendment number 3, Representative Weiss.
No.
Representative Morgan. Representative Colazar. Representative Steckloff. Representative Price. Representative Skaggs. Representative Wilson. Representative DeBoer.
Yes.
Representative Green.
Yes.
Representative Meerman.
Yes.
Representative Beeson.
Yes.
The amendment is not adopted.
Thank you. Next up, Representative Green, would you like to discuss your amendment?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. My amendment is in regards to Section 31AA. We know that student mental health is in dire straits. This crisis persists regardless of where a student attends school. After hearing testimony in this committee regarding education for all students by MDE Superintendent Dr. Rice, I firmly believe that all students should have access to these mental health supports. I so move my amendment.
Thank you, Representative. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to approve amendment number 4, Representative Weiss.
No.
Representative Morgan. Representative Colazar. Representative Steckloff. Representative Price. Representative Skaggs. Representative Wilson. Representative DeBoer.
Yes.
Representative Green.
Yes.
Representative Meerman.
Yes.
Representative Beeson.
Yes.
The amendment is not adopted.
Thank you. Representative Green, would you like to discuss your next amendment?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. My amendment restores a $1 million grant program that was in last year's budget. In 2020, the Michigan Supreme Court ruled that non-public schools are eligible for funds as they comply with state mandates regarding health, safety, and welfare. Additionally, the U.S. Supreme Court has essentially ruled that taxpayer dollars can be used for the benefit of all taxpayers. That being the case, my amendment would bring our budget in line with the Michigan Supreme Court and reimburse non-public schools for the cost incurred upon them by state mandates. I so move my amendment.
Thank you, Representative. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to approve amendment number 5, Representative Weiss.
No.
Representative Morgan. Representative Colazar. Representative Steckloff. Representative Price. Representative Skaggs. Representative Wilson. Representative DeBoer.
Yes.
Representative Green.
Yes.
Representative Meerman.
Yes.
Representative Beeson.
Yes.
The amendment is not adopted.
Thank you. Representative Green, would you also like to discuss amendment number 6?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. Again, families in our state pay taxes that go to education and education services. Preventing those same families from getting services because they are not in a favored group of enrolled in a government school is questionable. Preventing students from disadvantaged homes from receiving the same benefits of another simply because of where they are enrolled is questionable. Not providing food to a student because of where they are enrolled is unconscionable. My amendment would allow students eligible for the free breakfast and lunch to receive those vital meals. I move my amendment.
Thank you, Representative. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to approve amendment number 6, Representative Weiss.
Yeah, or, sorry, no.
Representative Morgan. Representative Colazar. Representative Steckloff. Representative Price. Representative Skaggs. Representative Wilson. Representative DeBoer.
Yes.
Representative Green.
Yes.
Representative Meerman. Representative Beeson.
Yes.
The amendment is not adopted.
Thank you. Representative Beeson, would you like to discuss your amendment?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is to restore the non-public schools eligible for the first robotic funds, and I was the cook at these tournaments, and this does foster relations with people that are not traditionally think together, and it builds teams, and anytime we can build a team, private, public, we really need to do that, and I try to move my amendment. I would love to move my amendment.
Thank you, Representative. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to approve amendment number 7, Representative Weiss.
No.
Representative Morgan. Representative Colazar. Representative Steckloff. Representative Price. Representative Skaggs. Representative Wilson. Representative DeBoer.
Yes.
Representative Green.
Yes.
Representative Meerman. Representative Beeson.
Yes.
The amendment is not adopted.
Thank you. And Representative Beeson, would you like to discuss your next amendment?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is to restore the language that prohibits discrimination against charter schools for the ISDs, and I'd like to move my amendment.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to approve amendment number 8, Representative Weiss.
No.
Representative Morgan. Representative Colazar. Representative Steckloff. Representative Price. Representative Skaggs. Representative Wilson. Representative DeBoer.
Yes.
Representative Green.
Yes.
Representative Meerman. Representative Beeson.
Yes.
The amendment is not adopted.
All right. Representative Beeson, would you like to discuss your next amendment?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to discuss my amendment. I see that the reinstate the Orton Gilling Ham funding. It looks like we have a placeholder and put it back up to $1 million. And it's funny because I am dyslexic is my superpower, and I had to spell it out the way I see it, so I could say it right during this. So I would hope to move my amendment.
Thank you, Representative. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to approve amendment number 9, Representative Weiss.
No.
Representative Morgan. Representative Colazar. Representative Steckloff. Representative Price. No. Representative Skaggs. Representative Wilson. No. Representative DeBoer.
Yes.
Representative Green.
Yes.
Representative Meerman.
Yes.
Representative Beeson.
Yes.
The amendment is not adopted.
All right, thank you. Next up, Representative Beeson, would you like to discuss your amendment?
Yes, so this actually is funding for the Bay Area Neck ISD to reimburse the kids. We talk about school of choice, and we've actually created a problem in my city with charging $5.50 for the bridges. And every kid in Bangor, Essexville, even though they live in the county, have to pay to go across to their ISD school function. The parents got to pay, and we've actually created, and I've got one myself. It's because I live. It's $11, $5.50 to go across, and $5.50 to come back. We only have one bridge because we're fixing the other one. We'll have one bridge where all the traffic of Bay County, and if you guys come to my city, use the main bridge without coming in and out. Otherwise, you'll be charged $5.50 on each side, $5.50 to go across. The problem is that this has caused a huge dilemma for the school buses have to pay. The kids have to pay to go to school, any sporting event, and even parents trying to get their kid to childcare. This is going to be a monster problem. Privatizing this bridge, this wasn't thought about. Everybody thought it'd be a great way to pay for bridges that the state doesn't own. It has made our city divide, and it's a monster problem. Now these kids only have one bridge. My wife works for the ISD, and she drives around for Hampton Township, and it will take 31 minutes for her to drive around instead of to use the bridge. Add that time, and if you guys come in, I'm telling you, we have a situation there, so I would like to, that's more than even the lunch meal they're spending to get to and from the ISD. And if we have one accident on the only bridge, there's a lot of people that are not going to go to school because the parents told them to stay off that bridge. So I'm trying to put in some money to fix a problem that we didn't think of before we got here. Signed a lease on a bridge, and as state legislators did. This is a consequence of that, and I'm trying to put my amendment so that we can help the ISD. So I move my amendment.
Thank you, Representative. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to approve amendment number 10, Representative Weiss.
No.
Representative Morgan. No. Representative Colazar. No. Representative Steckloff.
No.
Representative Price. No. Representative Skaggs. No. Representative Wilson. No. Representative DeBoer.
Yes.
Representative Green.
Yes.
Representative Meerman.
Yes.
Representative Beeson.
Yes.
The amendment is not adopted.
All right, thank you. And last up, Representative Meerman, would you like to discuss your amendment?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Looking to keep the school safety grants in particular separate from the mental health. It would be in the same line item, but it would direct that $100 million of that go towards school safety improvements. I move my amendment.
Thank you, Representative. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to approve amendment number 11, Representative Weiss.
No.
Representative Morgan. No. Representative Colazar. Yes. Representative Steckloff. No. Representative Price. No. Representative Skaggs. No. Representative Wilson. No. Representative DeBoer.
Yes.
Representative Green.
Yes.
Representative Meerman. Yes. Representative Beeson. Yes. The amendment is not adopted.
All right. Well, thank you all for this discussion, and thank you for those amendments. I just want to say before we vote that I'm very grateful to everyone in this room and watching from afar who have contributed to work on this budget, who have come in and advocated for our schools, for our students across the state. We really tried to build on our successes from last year. We really tried to continue to make sure we're moving towards the goal of fully funding and equitably funding our schools. And we tried to really put those investments where we know that those investments are the most critically needed in our state. And this is an ongoing discussion. We're going to keep working on it. We know that there's more to do, but I'm very proud of the work that has been put in by everyone on this committee and everyone who has advocated for and met with us to try to really move us in the right direction to make sure that we are supporting the needs of our students in our state. And again, just a lot of gratitude. I want to particularly thank the staff who have put in a ton of time working on this, all the way up through late last night. So a big thank you to our House Fiscal staff, Jacqueline and Noel. Thank you to Asia on our policy side, and Liam, and the rest of my staff, and all staff who have contributed time in working and getting us to this point. And so, with that, we will call for a vote. Representative Colazar moves to report House Bill 5503. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to report House Bill 5503, the H1 substitute, Representative Weiss.
Yes.
Representative Morgan. Yes. Representative Colazar.
Yes.
Representative Steckloff.
Yes.
Representative Price.
Yes.
Representative Skaggs.
Yes.
Representative Wilson.
Yes.
Representative DeBoer.
Pass.
Representative Green.
No.
Representative Meerman.
No.
Representative Beeson.
Pass.
The bill is reported.
Thank you. All right. Next up, there is a motion to adopt House Bill 5506. Representative Skaggs makes that motion. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to adopt the substitute, Representative Weiss.
Yes.
Representative Morgan.
Yes.
Representative Colazar.
Yes.
Representative Steckloff. Representative Price.
Yes.
Representative Skaggs.
Yes.
Representative Wilson.
Yes.
Representative DeBoer.
Yes.
Representative Green.
Yes.
Representative Meerman.
Yes.
Representative Beeson.
Yes.
The substitute is adopted.
Thank you. And to present on House Bill 5506, our Michigan Department of Education budget, I'm going to call down Noel Benson from House Fiscal to walk us through. Do we have any amendments on MDE? Okay. I'm sure they do. Thank you.
Thank you again, Madam Chair and subcommittee members. So before you, you have the summary for the Department of Education budget. In total, the House proposal reduces the MDE budget to $167,825,100 gross. This is a decline of $479,555,800, or 74.1%. Most of this is from shifting programs out of MDE to the new Michigan Department of Lifelong Education, Advancement, and Potential, or MyLEAP. Looking specifically at the general fund in the budget, this was a decline of $130.6 million, down to $66.7 million, a decline of $63.9 million, or 48.9%. Looking at the line items themselves on the summary, items 1, 2, and 3 are all items that were transferred out of the department. $430.3 million out of the Office of Great Start, including 77 FTEs. $390,300 out of Information Technology, and $161,200 out of Departmental Administration and Support. Item number 4 is the Michigan Test for Teacher Certification reimbursement. In current law, there is $1 million one time to reimburse the cost of subject area tests for first-time test takers seeking certification. The executive eliminated this funding. The House budget retains it, increases it by $150,000, and makes this ongoing. Looking on the next page, you'll see that there are several new FTEs. Rather than hit these line by line, they kind of fall into a couple specific categories, so I just want to run through those all at once rather than going through it as the summary has them. So there are 8.2 new FTE authorizations for a total of $1.2 million for supporting current operations of departments. This is $3.8 million for the State Board and Superintendent operations, $3 million for Library of Michigan operations, $1 million for administrative law operations, and .4 for school support services. Skipping ahead slightly to item number 26 on the summary, you'll see that there is also a reduction of 21.5 FTE authorizations across different departments. And the breakdown is there in the summary. In addition to those general increases and decreases, there are also FTEs for specific new positions. There are 14 total across the budget for a total of $2.5 million. This includes 3 FTEs for grant management, 2 FTEs for summer EBT food benefit administration, 2 FTEs for English language learner support and administration, 2 FTEs for state-level people transportation, 2 FTEs for the Office of Financial Management, 2 FTEs for early middle college program administration, 1 FTE for school nurse administration, and 1 FTE for task force administration. Continuing through the rest of the summary, you'll see in item number 5, there is $970,000 in new ongoing funding in the House budget for information technology additional investments. In number 6, in current law, there is $750,000 one-time and 2 FTEs for infrastructure consolidation and administration. The exec maintained this funding and revised it to be ongoing. The House proposal eliminates this funding and removes the authorization for the 2 FTEs. Down to item number 11, there is an increase of $500,000 in the House proposal to increase state per capita state aid to libraries. Item number 17 provides $198,400 to support the development and maintenance of the Michigan Test for Teacher certification. Number 21, currently there is $150,000 in one-time funding for toolkit development to create a professional development toolkit to teach American history. The executive eliminated this one-time funding. The House maintained this funding, provided an additional one-time appropriation of $150,000 for a total of $300,000 to be spent over 2 years. And there is currently $100,000 one-time for a poet laureate program. The executive maintained this funding and revised it to be ongoing. The House budget concurs with this change. And number 25 was a department reorganization. The executive transferred $783,900 gross and 6 FTEs from departmental administration and support, as well as $39,600 federal from the Office of Great Start, 2 systems evaluation technology, and school support services. The House transferred half of these amounts. And if we look at major boilerplate changes, there was a significant boilerplate restructuring in the House proposal. This brings the 200 section in line with other standard budgets and takes department-specific boilerplate out of the 200s, moves it to 300s, and rearranges other sections as needed to accommodate that change. There were no other major boilerplate changes that were not already discussed with the appropriations. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Representative Beeson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for your presentation. The 566.2 FTEs, right?
Yes.
And I just had the lifelong education advancement and potential where it looked like we moved in the MyLeap.
Yes.
So we didn't decrease it by that?
So we removed 77 FTEs, or the House budget removed 77 FTEs from the Office of Great Start that were transferred to MyLeap. You can see that in number 1. Beyond that, there were 21.5 other FTEs removed, and I believe about 22 new FTEs introduced to the budget. So it doesn't come out quite to a subtraction of 77, but it is close with the other changes.
Okay, but we put 313 in the other program too.
So 200 and some, I don't remember the exact number, from the other program comes from the LARA budget for the Child Care Licensing Bureau. I can pull that exact number up if you would like.
We can do it afterwards. It
Okay.
doesn't make, the
Yes.
math doesn't work yet.
The majority of the FTEs that were transferred in for MyLeap were from Lara.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Seeing no questions, Representative Price moves to adopt House Bill 5506, H1 substitute. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to report House Bill 5506, H1 substitute, Representative Weiss.
I didn't say report. Thank you. Yes. I might have said it wrong. I don't know if I did. I'm just going to say it again just to make sure I said it right. Apologies, everyone. Representative Price moves to report House Bill 5506 H1 substitute. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to report Representative Weiss.
Yes.
Representative Morgan. Representative Colazar. Representative Steckloff. Representative Price.
Yes.
Representative Skaggs. Representative Wilson. Representative DeBoer.
Pass.
Representative Green. Representative Meerman. Representative Beeson. The bill is reported.
Thank you. I did have one card to read in. John McNamara from the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association does not wish to speak, supports the bills for 5503. Without any other business properly before the subcommittee, the committee is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.